Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid.
Hey guys, welcome back to another breakdown. Today I'll be breaking down the finer details of Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 2. I'll be finding any Easter eggs and missable details, translating Aurebesh, and giving my thoughts on the episode and providing an out of 10 rating. But before I go any further, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a thank you for the reception that my Episode 1 breakdown got. You know, it really warmed my heart because I put so much time and effort into that one, and it really inspired me to put even more effort into this one. So thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for the episode. That being said, let's get right into it. Okay, everyone, we have a lot to talk about with this episode. This one starts off where we left Obi-Wan in Episode 1, on a transport ship on the way to the planet Daiyu to rescue Leia. Right away, Daiyu feels familiar to another city planet we've seen. Daiyu feels like a smaller, grimier, dingier version of Coruscant, the capital city planet of the Empire. Right away, we are shown a bunch of neon signs in the written Star Wars language of Aurebesh. Luckily for you guys, I happen to know a bit of Aurebesh. From left to right, the signs read Market, Stop, Gungan Snacks twice, and this one looks a little bit like the word noodle. So for anybody that knows me, I'll be taking a couple stops to that shop for sure. We see Obi-Wan skulking through the streets of Daiyu, observing its citizens, where behind him a sign reads the letter S in Aurebesh for some reason. I don't really know why, but that's what it reads. Then we see Obi-Wan's heart skip a beat as we hear the voice of Tamira Morrison. He looks down and sees a 501st Legion clone asking Obi-Wan for spare credits. Clearly inebriated, the unnamed clone raises his grime-covered helmet up to Obi-Wan, clearly not recognizing who he is. It's sad because initially Obi-Wan reaches for his lightsaber, preparing to defend himself. For those of you who don't know, during Order 66, an inhibitor chip implanted in the head of every single clone trooper was activated, causing every clone to immediately think the Jedi had committed high treason against the Republic. The order was to execute the Jedi, ordered by then Chancellor, but now Emperor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious. The 501st Legion was the one Anakin Skywalker was in command of during the Clone Wars, so you know Obi-Wan was thinking of him during this interaction. Eventually, Obi-Wan's compassion for the clone takes hold, and he puts a few credits in the helmet and sadly walks away. Down the street, Obi-Wan is stopped by a spice dealer. The dealer is played by the real-life daughter of Ewan McGregor, who plays Obi-Wan, which is a neat little detail. He asks her where he could find Leia, who he calls his daughter so he could hide her identity, and she gives him some spice and tells him to use it to forget she ever existed, because he'll never see her again, as she was once someone else's daughter too, and no one who has taken a Daiyu leaves Daiyu. And then she walks away. And then another kid comes up to Obi-Wan, saying he knows a Jedi and he'll take him to see him. This is no Jedi. His name is Haja Estri. He does help bring people to safety, but first, he scams them for a few credits. And Obi-Wan sees this, but an interesting little detail is that the family Haja helps is a mother with her son, and Haja says the Empire will be looking for a boy like him with his abilities, hinting that the boy is actually Force sensitive, which kind of gives a little bit of an interesting spin to the character of Haja Estri. Obi-Wan interrogates Haja for the information on where to go to look for Leia. Then we see Obi-Wan walk in front of 3 large cylinders in the sewer that read SW Milk in Aurebesh. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but it could be a reference to the blue and green milk that you can actually get at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Disney World. Then we see a black market trade area called The Den, as we see in purple Aurebesh letters. The rest of the Aurebesh signs read from left to right, Sabacc, the Star Wars version of poker, and of course, The Den. And finally, it's a little hard to read because it's a bit blurry, but I'm pretty sure that sign says Ryloth Wine. So just wine from the planet Ryloth, which I think is pretty cool. Then we see a person wearing lab attire walk out of the door to the left where the Sabacc sign is, and it seems Obi-Wan beat the ever-living crap out of this unsuspecting spice refiner and takes his clothes as a disguise. We see Obi-Wan in a spice refinery. For those of you who don't know, spice in the Star Wars universe is a strong hallucinogen comparable to drugs and narcotics in real life, almost like meth or crack cocaine. Obi-Wan causes an explosion via chemical reaction to create a distraction. He escapes the area only to be met by a Zabrak and another dude where a fight ensues. Obi-Wan cuts his hand on the horns at the top of the Zabrak's head, but eventually he wins the fight. He's then ambushed by the mercenary group that kidnapped Leia back in Episode 1. In order to escape, Obi-Wan throws the jar of spice down on the ground and gets away. Obi-Wan eventually finds Leia where she kicks him and tries to run away because of course Leia would do that, and they escape out of their spice refinery when Obi-Wan tells her who he is. The Inquisitor, Reva, or the third sister, then finds the group she hired stoned out of their minds in the room where Obi-Wan left them. She's then confronted by the Grand Inquisitor. Now, this scene is really significant to me because it gives more background as to why Reva is always a bit more ambitious than the other Inquisitors would like her to be. The Grand Inquisitor says that she's the lowest of the Inquisitors. She's trying to capture Kenobi specifically because she's trying to win favor with Darth Vader as he is in command of them. And she knows that Darth Vader is always looking for Kenobi. He's been doing it for the past 10 years. He wants to kill Kenobi for what he did to him on Mustafar. After the confrontation with the Grand Inquisitor, Reva gets her mercenary group to put out a wanted sign for everybody, but especially bounty hunters to see. The Aurebesh on the wanted side reads, "Wanted, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Offenses, high treason. Bounty, upon capture." Then we get a scene that kind of calls back to The Mandalorian, where Din Djarin found out that not only did he get a bounty puck for Grogu, but so did every other bounty hunter, which mightily complicates the situation, as a bunch of bounty hunters in the area get the wanted alert on Dayu for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then as Obi-Wan and Leia have to escape from the bounty hunters, they stop to buy disguises from a place called Chu Mo Threads, as seen in Aurebesh, which I think is really cool because we don't really see a lot of details readily available to us, the audience, but it's really just like a big clothing shop, almost like a thrift shop, just in the middle of the streets of Dayu, which I think is pretty cool. Then we get a really cute scene where we see once again Vivia Lyra Blair, who plays 10-year-old Leia, shine. She's really done such a good job bringing this character to life, and I just know that the late Carrie Fisher would be so proud to see young Leia doing so well on the screen. As Obi-Wan and Leia hide from oncoming bounty hunters, we see a sign in Aurebesh for a little shop reading Jawa's Market. It's good to know that our little dingy Jawa friends aren't just thriving on the planet of Tatooine. After Obi-Wan knocks out an oncoming bounty hunter, we see a shot of Reva on the rooftops of Dayu waiting for her plan to come to fruition. Back in the alleyway where Obi-Wan knocked the bounty hunter out, Leia sees Obi-Wan's face on the bounty puck of the bounty hunter. She loses trust for him, saying that he lied about who he was, and runs away, and a chase scene ensues. Now, this chase scene is a little bit more believable than the first one because there's a lot of people in the area. There's a lot of small crevices for Leia to run through, and Obi-Wan's also kind of trying to keep a low profile since, there's a whole bunch of bounty hunters running after him in this moment. Leia leads Obi-Wan to the rooftops where a bounty hunter shoots at them, and Reva takes chase. Then we see a neat and quite obscure cameo from the original trilogy. I really, really like this one because it's so small and obscure, and if you really don't know who the character is, then you really won't know what I'm talking about, so I'll explain it to you in a second. The bounty hunter droid from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, his name's Forlom, starts shooting at Obi-Wan also. And so obviously this complicates the situation, but I just think it's really cool because we don't really see Forlom in any other Star Wars property, especially other film properties outside of Empire Strikes Back. If I'm wrong, then correct me in the comments. Then Leia jumps off the roof in an attempt to escape. I love this next part because for the first time in about 10 years, you see Obi-Wan reach out in the Force. You can see the strain as he's flexing this inner muscle to reach out for Leia. And you can see he almost doesn't get it, but he does. He catches her through the Force and lowers her to safety. Obi-Wan and Leia make their way to the spaceport only to realize that all travel has been canceled by the Grand Inquisitor. At this point, Haja shows up to Obi-Wan and Leia, but this time as an ally. He gives Kenobi a sabacc card with the location of a safe house on the planet of Mopuzo. He then tells Obi-Wan to get to the cargo port as it's an automated shipping process and won't be stopped by the Empire. And after Haja leaves Obi-Wan and Leia, he puts a couple more blaster bolts into Forlom for some good measure, which kind of leaves a little bit of a contradiction to what I was talking about earlier. I said that Forlom made his first Star Wars appearance in Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. And I still believe that, but maybe it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think that Forlom could have just been put back together off screen by somebody and he shows up 13 years later in Empire Strikes Back, similarly to how IG-11 was destroyed in The Mandalorian and he was then later put together, which would explain why he shows up 13 years later. Then later on, Haja confronts Reva in an alleyway where she uses the same power that Kylo Ren uses to get information by entering the mind of the victim and forcing the information out. I think that's a really, really cool detail, and it kind of shows the power that Reva does hold. We cut to our favorite uncle-niece duo at the cargo port where Obi-Wan has to stop for a second to tell Leia that she reminds him of somebody fearless and stubborn, and a leader. He doesn't actually say who, but I feel like, and I know a lot of other people feel like, he was talking about Padme, her mother. her real mother. Soon after, Reva shows up. Obi-Wan tells Leia to get the cargo ship ready as she runs over to the ship. After some threatening and skulking around by Reva, Obi-Wan is about ready to ignite his saber and fight her to try to get away. And Reva mentions that Darth Vader is looking for him. Now, this is such a shock to Obi-Wan because to him, Vader's been dead. He left Anakin for dead on Mustafar. Reva clarifies that Anakin Skywalker is indeed alive. Now, exactly how Reva knows that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader isn't made entirely clear in this episode, but I do have a feeling that we're going to be getting that explanation later on in the season. Then the Grand Inquisitor stops her from taking Obi-Wan and wants to take Kenobi for himself, where Reva plunges her lightsaber into his stomach and he keels over and falls to the ground. Now, before you call the canon/continuity police, it was confirmed by some executives close to the show that the Grand Inquisitor is not dead and he's indeed alive. He can't be dead since he's in the Star Wars Rebels TV show, which takes place about 5 years after this point. So let's just move on and kind of forget about this whole argument. Obi-Wan takes this opportunity to escape. Then we cut to Obi-Wan on the cargo ship looking like he's just seen a ghost. And he kind of has. He whispers, "Anakin." And then we get a bone-chilling cut to the yellow Sith eyes of Darth Vader, played by Hayden Christensen himself in a bacta-tank. And for those of you who don't know, Darth Vader has to spend a lot of time in a bacta-tank to try to recover and heal from his injuries, which, as we know, he never fully does. As slowly we zoom out from Vader, the episode cuts to black, as all we hear is the chilling breath of Darth Vader. Wow. Okay, guys, I think they killed it with this episode. I loved how many subtle, missable details there were hidden throughout the episode, all the Orabesh that was just laden everywhere, all the little character details that we had. I thought it was amazing. I absolutely love how Obi-Wan and Leia start to have like this little neat bond, like an uncle-niece bond, towards the end of the episode. It really starts to give me more of a concrete reason why she named her son Ben, for Ben Kenobi. And of course, Darth freaking Vader. Oh my gosh, the amount of hatred we see in his Sith eyes after feeling Obi-Wan through the Force was just utterly terrifying to me. I can't wait to see more of him in future episodes. Personally, I would rate this episode, drumroll please, a 9 out of 10. It's not quite a 10 out of 10 in my book, just because we teased Anakin a little bit, and Anakin and Obi-Wan together is really what I've been looking for in this series. So I can't wait to see what we get from those two in the future, but I'm so excited to see the next videos. And I just want you guys to leave your comments and leave your ratings in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe with notifications. And this is Sterling signing off of this video. Thank you for watching this breakdown, and may the Force be with you, and see you guys in the next one.